So our next session is on AI, and I'd like to introduce the session. For 40 years, the spreadsheet has been our most trusted companion. Today, that companion is being joined and in many tasks elevated by autonomous AI agents capable of reasoning, reconciling, and reporting at a speed that no humans can match. This is not a history of replacement, it is a story of elevation. The question for every CFO in this room is simple. What will your team create now that the machine can handle the rest? I'd now pass over to Umesh so he can introduce our panel for today.
To lead this conversation, we have Mr. Saurabh Doshi, co-founder of OptimizeGEO.ai, a generative AI enterprise platform. Welcome, Saurabh. We have Mr. Robbie White, partner of Fowes Mazars and leader of their UK Innovation and Data Hub. Please welcome Mr. Kamal Jain, Senior Director of Gen AI at HCL Tech. Welcome, Kamal. Mr. Dinesh Guada, Founder, CEO, and Chairman of Zudium Group. Welcome. And our final panelist, Mr. Neil Cutting, Transformation Director at Oracle. Welcome, Neil.
Sorry, I think we've skipped over Mr. Anshuman Prasad. He's the founder of Risk Info AI and former partner at EY. Anshuman, please join us.
Welcome, Anshuman.
अभी हमारी AI इतनी अच्छी नहीं हुई है.
Okay, thank you. Wow, we have an amazing panel here, like literally heavyweights. And we are going to demystify AI. So a lot of you I know have a lot of questions and you work in many different roles, tax, audit, advisory, self-employed. What we are going to do for this session is to really see if we can give you very, very practical kind of tools, advice on AI. And my test is like you should be able to go on a Monday morning to office and say, okay, these are the three things you heard in this panel and you're going to kind of go and implement it. So that's going to be the objective. Before I start, just show of hands and maybe a little bit warm up. 3 questions very quickly. How many of you have taken a course on AI in the last 6 months to upgrade your skill? Can you show of hands? Oh, wow. Okay, that was interesting. Second, how many of you ever uploaded something into ChatGPT or any LLM and then wondered, oh, I should not have uploaded that? And we are all accountants, finance folks, tax folks, so be careful. And we are going to discuss all of that. And the last one is, how many of you have seen an AI answer that looked impressive but was actually wrong? Exactly, and that's why we are all needed here. Okay, so we are going to start with asking some very interesting questions. So Robbie, I want to start with you, since you're just the closest to me. Is that many people hear terms like LLM, Gen AI, agents, virtual assistants, OpenClaw. I get so confused, right? Can you demystify and tell us what is the difference? And the session here is Excel to Agentic AI, so tell us more.
Shukriya, Sarah. Thank you very much. And first of all, I suppose, let's just set the scene here. There is a lot out there at the moment, and it is really confusing. One of the big things I think we need to start with is the EU AI Act. It was mentioned a little bit earlier as a key defining area that we can always relate back to. And if we look at the EU AI Act, it clearly defines what AI is. So that gives us a starting point, and it describes it as a machine which works autonomously or to various different levels, and which can also make decisions off the back of that. So on that automation or autonomous nature, it can start to make decisions. But there are varying levels, and I think the first level that we start to see in kind of general AI or general purpose AI is this concept of large language models or generative AI. So generative AI, by its name, generates things, and we've seen a lot of these generative AI platforms. Those are then powered by large language models, LLMs. You'll hear the word LLMs thrown around all the time. And there's been recent releases as of this week of ChatGPT 5.5, Opus 4.7. So these are large language models which power what we are seeing inside of these interfaces. Now, the word virtual assistants is really that skimming interface that we kind of deal with on a daily basis. It's the front end of the LLM. So Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude are all kind of that interface, that virtual interface. But now we get into the really interesting stuff, which is agentic AI. And agentic AI is really interesting because if we go back to what I spoke about in the EU definition, it's where these LLMs or agents start to take on agency. So they are making decisions on what they have. And the reason why that's important is because if you're an accountant in the room and you've got a whole bunch of invoices, agentic workflows will take those invoices, immediately put them into the right areas, can place them inside of other tools and start to really do work for you. Automate a whole bunch of the workflow. So that is the nature of where we have the EU AI Act, which defines AI, then we kind of go through the generative, which is a specific part of that, down into large language models, and then we got specific use cases using agents as an example, Saurabh. And we're seeing loads of this. I mean, there'll only be more, so keep yourselves knowledgeable.
Awesome. I want to bring Anshuman you in. For someone in the room who is not deeply technical, and I know you're technical, but we are not, or I'm not at least. What are the simple use cases, integrations that they should start first? I mean, especially, some productivity tools, personal, professional tools, and tell us more building on what, Robbie explained on the various concepts. Yeah.
So taking over from where Robbie explained things. So if you have to start using AI, and I'm in my day job, I advise more larger banks, but here I'm talking more as a small business owner myself. So if you to go and implement AI realistically, the first thing you have to do is to make a choice to use one or two. I would recommend at least 2 paid subscriptions, there's a whole range out there. Just do that. Take a couple of subscriptions in. And keep in mind, if you don't do that, any data that you're sharing is going into the public domain and is used for training. So do that. Start with that. After that, the next thing is to train that model in a very simplistic sense. What that means is you need to pick up pieces of important information that you have. If you have the right paid subscription, I would say connect your emails to that. Connect your calendar to that. Connect your Google Drive to that, workflows. Essentially, you're feeding information to the model that's going to be useful for you later on. So do that. You can even put in good examples of presentations that you feel were good or documents and just put that into the model. And then you're ready to start using it for basic tasks. So I think these are a couple of basic precursors that you need to do. Create these projects and then start using it for basic tasks. The first task could be like, which you can routinely use them for, is creating emails. The first drafts of emails come out quite okay nowadays. And if it's a routine email, which you have to keep sending to a client, it will come out quite okay, like a weekly report or something like that. Then you could use it for summarizing long documents. The tax code, I know the UK tax code is really huge, for example. Like if you need any ready advice, feed the tax code in there, and you will have at least a ready corner at your fingertips. So small things like that are the first use cases. Then we can come on to more complex tasks. Like in my own example, running a small business, we have a regulatory newsletter which goes out to clients. And what we did was we trained the LLMs first. We made them go just to the regulatory websites. So it's very important, you direct the LLMs to take information only from specific trusted websites. After that training is done, we use another LLM. So that's why 2 LLMs. Another LLM is used as a judge. So the first LLM's output goes into the second LLM's, and after that, there's a human review. And we've seen that increasingly, the human review has become redundant because the LLMs are trained, and we're able to get really good track of regulatory changes on our fingertips. Finally, after you get really comfortable using LLMs, you can come down to agentic AI, which Robbie talked about. For agentic AI, what I would say is a couple of tools have just come up recently. One is Perplexity and Computer. So Computer is essentially a fully agentic platform. It's at your fingertips. It can create good presentations in your own style, imitate that, and pretty much ready to go. And you can even build financial models. So I've seen it create Excel models that make sense from a DCF, cash flows, all of that. Those would be more advanced use cases, but I'd just encourage you to go and start small. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Computer is a really nice one from Perplexity. And my other favorite is Atlas. It's just like a browser from ChatGPT. So I just keep Atlas open, and then I browse like I would do on a Google Chrome. And then it keeps kind of seeing what I'm doing, and then I can go and ask question, hey, this is what I searched, can you please do something? So Atlas is a good one too. And then of course there are others from Google, like Google LLM. So, Notebook LLM. So Kamal, as we kind of implement all this as an individual and increase our productivity, how do we kind of collaborate with teams? Because a lot of us work in companies, we have to collaborate as a group, not just individually. So what would you think is are the tools where we can extend to more like group collaboration?
Thanks for this question. So I give you like 2 or 3 different examples how it can we can collaborate and it can make the life simple for the CAs. Number 1 is most of us use say Microsoft Teams, right? Or say like Microsoft Office having Word, Excel. It has like embedded Copilot into it, right? Which can help you summarize all the meeting chats, right? One, it can like when you are writing anything onto the Teams or into the Word, right? It can summarize all that. It can create action points which can be further linked to your calendar or clear action items. You don't need to spend time creating the minutes of the meeting, making your life much more simpler. So that's one. Second one, if I talk about when we are talking about say big contracts, right, or say like the legal contracts, so use Cloud or any of the LLM helps you summarize those contracts, ensuring that it's falling into your guardrails, so that you don't need to spend hours and weeks understanding those contracts. Instead of that, you can use the technology, makes the life simpler and easier for you. The third one, if I talk about in terms of when you are making any payments, because all of you CAs has been doing a lot of financial transactions, right? So what financial transaction to vet and what we should discard, right? So if you put across the checks and balances into the tool, create an agent around it, which will automate that the whole payment process for you, right? And then as a human in the loop, you can just verify before you sign it off, right? It will give you the recommendation. You can give your feedback, is it right or not, so that in case it's giving you the wrong message or the wrong recommendation in the first go, it will autocorrect, right? So that next time onwards, as a good student, it will follow the right guardrails as per your company policies and ensure that if there are any anomalies in the payment process, you'll be able to it will be able to highlight it without manual intervention. Yeah.
Yeah, no, pretty interesting. And here I want to bring in Neil, because Neil, with your experience around process and automation, so one of the big questions in everyone's mind is how do I get started? What do I think of, the process of implementation? So, help us demystify as to how do we kind of get started here?
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh. And yeah, so I'm here, my day job's at Oracle, but I'm an active volunteer with ICAW. So because of the huge collaboration between ICAI and ICAW through the pathways, I was kindly asked to be here today. I'm pretty humbled by the audience today, so thank you. So You got two parts to that question. One's really easy, one's really, really difficult. So the first one, where can AI help with process automation? And the answer is everywhere. Really easy, quick, is going to change the way that we do things within our finance teams and with our end-to-end business cases, because there's a lot of talk about AI, but for me, even though my day job's at Oracle, I'm an operational business finance guy, so I just care about improving end-to-end processes, and AI is a tool to help with that. Second bit of your question is really, really difficult. So what steps do we, each of us, take away from today, do on Monday morning to actually go and do something about this? Because a lot of us are feeling fearful. Many people I speak to as a volunteer with ICAW, many people, they don't know where to start. So where do you start? You start with, you do a gap analysis. Gap analysis of where are you today, often called the as is. Where do you want to be in the future, often called the to be. And that would be at the end of your business plan, time-bound period, and also at the end of your budget period. So that's the context, the gap analysis. What are the three areas that you need to look at? So I would suggest, in order to get AI is data that feeds an engine, which is called the platform or the ecosystem, which is your tech stack, your cloud service providers, and all the software tools you use. And then the output goes to humans. And so where do you start with that gap analysis? Well, with your data, which is the fuel, you need to define what you mean by data. We're getting a lot of ESG data now. Is that in scope? We're getting a lot of operational data. Is that in scope for the responsibility of the CFO? And data is like the fuel for the AI engine. So, just like a diesel car will not accept petrol, you need to put the right quality of fuel into that engine. So it's really important to get that data right. In terms of the platform, this ecosystem of all the bits of data, effectively the cloud space is renting computer equipment, etc., offline, having the software that you have on that platform ecosystem. That's your engine. So you need to make sure that that engine works in the total ecosystem. So if you get, an analogy is if you get a brand new Formula One car racing engine from Red Bull at Milton Keynes, you get a brand new engine and you put it in, my parents' old 30-year-old Mini or Premier Pad Mini, I think. So if you put that engine in that car, it might go really, really fast for a few minutes and then it's likely to break. So that is really important, that you need to think of the whole context of the ecosystem. And you could think of ChatGPT a bit like that engine. We've got one bit of the ecosystem changed, but there's a lot more to do. The final bit is the human element. So we as humans, we want those AI insights so we can take actionable action. That's the only reason we're doing it. So in order to get those actionable insights, what do we need to do? We need to improve our AI capability, or as I like to call it, our AI muscle. And staying in this hotel, we've seen lots of amazing people walking around who are doing the London Marathon tomorrow, and also people in wheelchairs who are doing the London Marathon tomorrow. They did not wake up today and say, I'm going down to London, I'm going to stay in the Metropole Hotel, hopefully I might be able to gate crash this conference, and then do the marathon tomorrow. They have made that decision, and they've trained their muscles in their body, their ecosystem, their engine, for months and months and months, and we need to do the same. So.
Awesome. And that actually brings me to a very important point in the AI world, right? Is about risk management. Because, and Dinesh, I want to hear this from you, is that, okay, AI is amazing and it can do a lot of things, but if uncontrolled, it can be really, really challenging, right? And so, and then we have all seen hallucination. There's a lot of hand raised when it says okay, there was wrong answers and all sorts of things. So what are the ethical concerns? What are the risk management tools or efforts we should think of?
Thank you so much for having me here. So risk management is probably the most important thing short term, because like you mentioned, for instance, I'll give you an example. I'm working a financial model as we speak as a CEO, and working with my financial team, and I use a couple of prompts to create the model. and he created an entire document, very well done, for 3 years. And I used multiple different documents. Everything was hallucinated. And he actually went to the point of working in another logic and the numbers completely wrong. And this happens in multiple different AI LLMs. So I think, like you mentioned, if you don't, first of all, we have to know what you're doing because this is a weapon and a very big weapon. For instance, this week, we had last week actually, Anthropic launched Mythos. And for instance, Mythos is a model so powerful that Anthropic had to stop it, and most of the global financial institutions, we all work with it, have a kind of a global appraise in the sense, okay, there's something really wrong here. So that's massive risks. The first risk is the integration, for instance, of automation of most of the jobs of accounting, which realistic can be all replaced by AI agents. And that is a big risk that I want to highlight, of course, not to panic, but for us to be prepared. The second is, this is a fantastic tool as well. So you as chartered accountants, if you use these tools fantastically well, and if you prepare yourself, it's like you don't go to a Formula One without preparation. Actually, not everyone drives a Formula One. So an AI is effectively a Formula One and the F-16, F-17 all together. So for an accountant, first thing I would touch is using ChatGPT is not the right tool. You can use it for basic research or Claude or even Gemini or whatever, but you need to make sure where you're putting your data. First point is that your data goes immediately to the United States and it will get used by, right now, is the intelligence agencies of the US. Secondly, and of course if you use some Chinese, of course, for the Chinese government. And then second point that is important to consider is that it's going to be a big element of compliance and protection. Where are you putting your data? And secondly is, are you using this for research or are you using this to automate your process? For instance, I've been having a very humble experience with accounting myself probably because I was not understanding some of the accounting. My company could have grown double or 3x or even 10x. So your responsibility is massive, but it's a responsibility of understanding that this is a super tool, but it can be very dumb or it can be the most advanced in the planet. So it's really important that, first of all, you have a conscience about the risks, and then a conscience about the power you're using. And what I would suggest as a common sense, like you mentioned and everyone mentioned great examples, is how we're going to be, first of all, having the right AI literacy, making sure that every company here has a policy around AI. It's very important. When I say policies, don't touch AI if you don't know the basic rules. And then secondly, of course, use it for the most empowerment. For instance, most of the tasks being used right now by accounting can and will be automated. But it's about how you put the insights, the intelligence, and the gap analysis towards the results that we need to have. So that's for me the most important things, shortly.
Yeah, I want to build on that point, and especially, what we are all professionals here, and what does our future role look like, right? And so, Kamal, bringing you in, is that in your vision, what would like a future role or skill look like, or how do we think as a professional we should kind of think of the long-term future?
Yeah, so currently if you see, most of us are familiar with, say, GPTs or like any of these LLMs, right? Which gives you like the generic answers for your queries. But now consider a scenario wherein LLM is understanding your domain knowledge, understand the audit terminology, understanding the financial terminologies, same like yours. So there is a concept like SLM, which is coming in the picture, and many fintech organizations are working around it, wherein they are training these large language models onto the financial terminologies, right? They call it, and then it becomes like the domain experts, right, which understand the domain language much better than like yourself and me, right? And in the future, what we'll see is we'll have into the fintech domain SLMs coming in the picture, right? And then on top of it, you're having the agents being worked upon. So as a human, what will happen is you're having a lot of agents which will be there at your disposal to work for you, automate the tasks, give you the accurate results, and you don't need to do the things more manually. Instead of that, you will be a kind of director of the agents. You're having say multiple agents working under you. What you need to do is put the right prompt. So prompt engineering skill is very important so that you understand that what output or what kind of work that you want from each agent to work on. Second, currently, if you see most of these LLMs, they are not capable of doing multitasking, accurately. They can perform the task, which is fine. But if you assign specific tasks to each of the agent, right, and then orchestrate or give them that, okay, so this is the workflow that I'm looking for, right? So each of these domain agents, right, they will perform the task for you. But what's important for you is doing the prompting. Second is the output it's giving to you. You should be able to evaluate, is it giving the right output? Because ultimately you're going to be accountable, right? So making so that will be the kind of future state where you're having a lot of agents working for you.
Yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. Everyone is going to be an entrepreneur manager with a lot of agents at disposal, and we are going to kind of let agents do all the tasks while we manage them. I just want to do a very quick kind of rapid fire round to even understand, how you all are thinking. So, the first question, and maybe one word answer, is one task you already do today that AI can cut in half. Robbie, or
So I just want to say one thing. I think
Yes.
the one thing that we can't take away from is Vivek, or judgment. I think that's the right word. So Vivek is this concept of judgment is super, super important. So the things that I see already cut in half are things that are really easy. So building a document from scratch is super easy, and I've cut half of my time on that immediately.
okay, Kamal?
Drafting.
Amplify, and one thing is how you own your own data. It's very important because I know that a lot of people follow the process. In this case, AI is going to oblige you to think the process. For instance, looking at all your data and see what can I do to improve my data and to avoid errors.
Like I guess a lot of people in the room, anybody involved with the audit process? So So the audit process is a classic governance and controls process that can be really speeded up. And this is where I've seen it within the workplace, where Oracle, we have audited quarterly and annual reports issued to the New York Stock Exchange by calendar day 10 every single quarter. So that compared with where I started in my career, the audit process is completely different. So.
Interesting.
So as a consultant, it's obviously making PPTs. Finally, I was kicked in March when Perplexity Computer came out. Truly Agentic did cut it by half. So that's for me.
I'll do a quick one. One task or thing you should never trust AI to do without review. Quick one.
Do my taxes. No way.
Love poems. No, judgment.
Integrate what is your risk management and avoid that you leave the AI to do your risk management.
Final outcome, ultimately human in the loop is must.
Okay, and Robbie said judgment, I think, so I already... I know we are short of time, but I really want to do this one last rapid fire. Is that one skill every person in this room, every CA should think of building over the next 12 months? This is really, really important.
Build a really simple presentation-based model. It will save you days. So PPT driving model.
Prompting skills and how to evaluate the outcome of the LLM models.
As a CEO, I think is the way, for instance, you can empower clients like ours and understand how your company can become more a support to your clients and less a technical, just automation accountant.
Thank you. Do gap analysis on data, the fuel, the platform, the engine, and then the AI muscle from where you are, where you want to be. And if anybody's interested in that, if you, ICAW have got lots of free material, lots of free templates, which we collaborate clearly with ICAI. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, my last couple of posts have links to the ICAW website, which would be great for collaboration to work together on.
I would say vibe coding. So coding using the LLMs. It's not that difficult. We can talk about that offline, but yeah.
Yeah, the vibe coding is a great point, and you know, we can ask questions offline to the panel. As closing remark, I think, you know, I'm very, very sure that AI is not going to replace the accountants, but it will definitely redefine, you know, how our role is, and we will only lead if we change very quickly and adopt AI. So thank you so much. Thank you.
That was a very insightful session. Thank you to the panelists and Saurabh for driving this conversation.